got like maybe an hour before she wakes up.
Yeah, hopefully. We didn't even set up the monitor this time.
Who cares? Live life on the edge.
Thinks we can hear from the laundry chute.
Live life dangerously. Welcome to episode 3 of While She's Napping. I am Adam.
And I'm Cindy.
That's your cue.
Sorry.
When I say my name. And
I don't even know what day it is. I'm not going to remember my cue.
Well, I was going to say happy Easter
That's
to
right.
everybody, but happy Diet Christmas from the people that don't celebrate Easter, really. I mean, that's what Easter is. Like, we give her light toys.
Yeah, well, your family always went pretty all out for Easter. Mine did too, but not in the same way.
Out. It's not all out. Like, all out would be we gave, like, I don't know. It wasn't like a big thing.
Well, you did like actual gifts. Like you looked forward to getting like toys and like figurines,
yo-yos and stuff.
Yeah, I guess we always did. Mostly it was candy, and we did the Easter egg hunts, and it was pretty much a basket of candy. It wasn't necessarily like gifts to open like Christmas. Still super fun.
Yeah, it should be noted that we're recording this Saturday. It is not yet Diet Christmas, but it's soon. Yeah, so touching on last week, everybody, thanks for listening. Thanks for the download. We got a lot of positive feedback. I don't want to name names, but a couple of friends of ours reached out and said they enjoyed the show. So we appreciate the support. We appreciate the download. And if you can continue to, you don't even have to listen. Really, you can just like play it and just download it.
But we still want you to listen because we also want to hear your thoughts on the things we're talking about, because we also miss all of our friends and family, and this could be a cool way to generate some discussion and shoot the shit a little bit.
Well, this is obligatory support for us. I mean, thank you. But if you don't, I mean, like a lot of you just hear this on a normal basis, just talking to the both of us. But if you do like what you hear, we appreciate it. And if you don't know us and you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcast feed from. We're on all your favorite podcatchers, and specifically if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review, maybe some kind words in conjunction with that. We'd appreciate it. So shout out to all the positive feedback. We got a few emails, got a few tweets. A few emails. We got an email. And not a, right? Is it
an email?
Yeah.
Because there's a vowel, so you have yeah.
Yeah. So we got one of those. We don't like to name names on here, so you know who you are. Shout out.
Yes, thank you.
Very well received, and we appreciate the time it took to write that. So today we are going to touch on something that is near and dear to us, and anybody that knows us already knows this. We're going to talk about fitness and why this is important to us as individuals and us as parents. It should be noted, though, that this can be a sensitive topic, and Cindy's giving me the look. This can be a sensitive topic for people, and that, individuals that have talked to me and had these discussions with me already know that I can get pretty passionate and pretty aggressive about this, and I'm probably going to come across as such on this podcast, but that is what I do, and that is who I am, so I'm not going to hold back.
I think a few listeners have noticed just from the last couple of episodes that our approaches somewhat differ, that you tend to come across pretty, you shoot straight and you say what you think, and I think you have a tendency to oversimplify things, and I think this topic is a good example of where I think you sometimes do that, and I tend to like to look at the nuance and the complexity behind things. So I think that the difference in our approaches in that sense will be evident in this topic. We'll see.
Bubbly Blackberry.
Hey, I have Blackberry too.
Well, the thing is that this guy's wearing a bow tie, so we know.
Oh, so it's a boy thing?
We can.
Are we going back to last week?
We can infer that this can is a man. Like, this is a chode can. That's redundant. But, all right, so here's the deal. So, I mean no offense if some of this applies to you that you don't agree with or you necessarily agree with. I'm just going to go basic anecdotal evidence that is what has worked for me and what I have seen in my surroundings with individual. And we're going to throw in a little bit of data in there too to sort of reemphasize the point. But
even though neither of us are experts in this field at all,
I'm
we're
not.
just going off of our own experience and things we've learned along the way.
I am not a fitness instructor. I am not a professional trainer. I am not jacked. I am not a bodybuilder. I simply exercise daily, lift weights because I love it. That's just like the base source of all of this. So it's important for us to establish how we got into fitness in general, and we can go as long as you want about that. Why fitness is important to us, and how, as a married couple, pretty much why it's important to us as a married couple and as individuals, and what this has to do with us being parents. So first of all, you can kick this off. You've been pretty active all your life, but you weren't into fitness until really we started dating, I would assume.
Yeah, I think it coincided with so I grew up dancing since I was 3. We touched on that last week, but so I grew up active in that sense. I also played some sports. I played softball for a long time, and so I was active from that perspective. But doing dance, I never really viewed that as like being involved in fitness. It was just something that I did that happened to be, very physical and athletic. And I did that straight through until college, when it became too much to drive back and forth to my dance studio and all of that. So that was when I think I started transitioning into more exploring different types of fitness. And that happened to be just about the time that we started dating.
Yeah. So same. When I was a kid, I would do basketball and baseball. Those were the only 2 sports I ever played growing up, and obviously they coincide with their own respective seasons. So in the fall, winter months, I would be doing basketball. In the spring, summer months, I would be doing baseball. So I was constantly active as a child, and I don't know if that was so much so that my parents wanted me to be active, or whether or not my dad just wanted me to play sports. I think it has more to do with the latter than it has to do with the former, because back when we were kids, all right, so I'm 34 right now. Back when we were kids, there wasn't many distractions. So like, yes, we had TV and cartoons and stuff, but the internet boom didn't necessarily happen yet. So when in the mid 90s, I was constantly outside riding my bikes and
rollerblading, playing tag, kickball, whatever. Yeah, you were always active. Yeah, me too.
I was always out. So like this sense of childhood obesity probably was a very rare thing on average when it came to kids our age. Like, you're not substantially younger than me. You're 31. So like you're still within that frame.
Yeah, we're the same
time.
generation. Yeah,
we're millennials. So when you look back on how that sort of influenced you moving forward, like always being active, when I became sort of an adult, or in my adult years, like 18, 19, 20, when I stopped doing organized sports, you can notice that the weight started to pack on. But, when I was a kid, I didn't necessarily know about nutrition because my parents never taught me about nutrition. So I was still consuming a lot of shit, but I was super active, and my metabolism, as a child, it's always going to be super high. It just sort of became a wash. I was a skinny kid growing up. Again, until I became an adult and the weight started packing on. So I had to pretty much teach myself about nutrition. And even then, in my early 20s, I didn't really know what nutrition was. So when was it that you realized about the importance of eating healthy? Because probably much like you, your parents didn't necessarily, no fault to their own, it just wasn't a thing, like didn't necessarily pass down or teach you about proper nutrition. When did you start tapping into that?
Yeah, I was thinking about that I think my family always did cook relatively healthy food, with the exception of, like you were saying, like the typical 90s kids food. Like I had Dunkaroos, I had fruit snacks,
Lunchables.
I had all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't really a concern. And I was also I was a rail growing up. I was a ballet dancer. I was really thin. but I still ate ice cream. We still snacked on Doritos and stuff at night when we would play games or watch TV. And so I think it was just about balance. I think when it came to our actual meals, like I remember always having pretty healthy, well-balanced dinners.
But I'm not even sure that was an active thought. It was just like, this is what you have for dinner.
Pretty much. Yeah. I don't think it wasn't. It wasn't.
Like, I don't think your parents were like
framed up
meat, veggies, starch.
Right.
Those are necessities for your dinner. It was just like, this pairs with this well.
Yeah. And I think, I even drank a lot of sugary drinks growing up. I was never really big on soda, but I definitely drank chocolate milk, juice boxes, bug juice. Remember those? Whenever we used to go camping a lot and we drank
the barrel juices. Yeah.
Yep.
Job lot stuff.
And then like the
Job Lot's a store in Rhode Island. Sorry, people don't know that.
Yeah. So coffee milk.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think it was really ingrained in me as an intentional thing. So I think for me it was, learning when I became a young adult and when I went to college and stopped dancing. That also coincided with, my college meal plan and going to the dining hall and eating whatever I wanted, however much of it, because it was like, you pay up front for the flat rate room and board, and then you just go and eat like buffet style 3 times a day, and then snack on Pop-Tarts and Easy Mac in the dorm room. And so that hit me hard.
Of course.
And then I had to learn what it meant to eat healthy. So it probably was more so when I, once I stopped living in the dorms. I think even when I lived in a house in college with a few roommates, and I still don't think I ate very healthy.
No,
and then, so it was probably when we moved in together that we started both kind of.
Well, no, not. That's when we first started realizing about nutrition, but that's not when we.
Well, you had dieted before that,
right? And I had, in retrospect, I had dieted completely incorrectly, but successfully.
Right, it was effective, but it probably wasn't the healthiest way.
So no, I mean, in terms of what your body needed or needs, it was fine. So when I realized that, after I stopped playing those organized sports, when I hit my early 20s, I had realized like I'm packing on weight. I'm far more lethargic than I used to be. I don't have much energy. So all at that time that I knew about was, okay, well, running makes you lose weight. And I had only, my idea of fitness at the time was just cardio.
Yeah.
So I signed up at the gym, and looking back at this is so dumb. I was paying like $30 a month to go to a gym just to run on the elliptical for a half hour a day. Like, I was pissing away money to run on an elliptical for a half hour a day. My meals were traditional breakfast, lunch, dinner, nothing in between. It was Special K cereal, chicken and veggies for lunch, chicken and veggies for dinner.
And you used to have your frozen strawberries at night.
Frozen strawberries. That was my snack. That was my candy. I'd munch on frozen strawberries whenever I wanted. And Arizona green iced tea and water. That's it.
Well, that's what I mean. That's
and
not
Diet Coke.
That's not a very nutritious diet. It's low in calories, so it made you lose weight, but it wasn't nutritious.
But all my macros were there, right? So
you weren't getting any fats though, because you weren't eating like cheese or avocado or nuts. You didn't even even your salad dressing was fat free. Like,
I didn't eat salad dressing.
You did fat free Italian.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
So you didn't eat. You were missing a lot of food groups.
I was missing my fats. So my carbs were in the. If I had a grilled chicken wrap, that was the source.
That was
of my
still
carbs.
few and far between. You didn't eat like sweet potatoes or rice or anything like that.
Nope. And I had my strawberries, which were my sugar source. So that was my carb source.
Well,
so,
and your tea and soda.
Yeah.
Sugar.
So basically, like I lost a significant amount of weight,
right?
But I wasn't lifting weights. I wasn't doing anything for muscle mass. I was just leaning out, leaning
Well,
out.
that's what I mean. It was effective, but it wasn't sustainable, and it wasn't necessarily the healthiest.
Right. So that was my sort of introduction to fitness. And at the time, I noticed like, okay, so I'm losing weight, so it must be effective. I must be doing something right. And I didn't really care about the muscle aspect to it. I just knew at the time that I was on the path towards obesity, and I needed to lose weight. So then later on, we started dating. And again, as you may be, familiar with, people listening, that when you date someone in the early stages, you then put on weight. That's just what you do.
Once you get comfortable, 555. That's what we used to do every weekend.
555 all the time.
So bad.
Then we put on a significant amount of weight. So what did we do? We ended up going back to Gold's Gym and doing the same shit. Not lifting weights. I would just go on the machine. I'd lose weight again. Wash, rinse, repeat. Then we moved in with a couple of friends into a house, and my best friend was like, hey, I'm starting this P90X workout program. And I was like, okay, well, if it's going to be in the house, we'll do it. And that completely shifted.
That was our introduction to at-home fitness.
At-home fitness and weightlifting.
Yep.
And that completely shifted our mentality onto how to eat because of the meal plan that was incorporated.
Right.
How to exercise properly, proper form. I remember doing a basic bicep curl for the first time. And like, to this day, I remember doing my first bicep curl, and it blows me away. I remember being able to do my first pull-up, blew me away. Like,
I will say for me, I think it was a little bit more gradual in terms of getting into other types of fitness other than just cardio, because when we would sign up for the gym, I used to go to the group classes. I always loved group fitness because it was reminiscent to me of my dance classes. And I liked the social aspect. I was more motivated to go when I knew there was a group of people and a couple of friends who were expecting me to show up, so but there still wasn't a ton of variety in what I did. I did a lot of Zumba and yoga and stuff like that. But the actual like weightlifting and muscle building, I think, came with these at-home workouts. It was that's when it really started to become more prevalent for me.
Right. And that really fell and fed into my introverted, isolated personality, that it was
great for you.
Perfect. Like, I don't have to worry about people being around me. I don't have to worry about equipment being occupied unless my roommates or you were using the equipment, which it was theirs. So they are obviously entitled to it. The videos were theirs.
Right.
So it was a really nice start off, right? And that, I guess, is what really initiated the addiction for me. And I don't look at this and evaluate this type of addiction because it is an addiction. Like, fitness ought to be somewhat of an addiction in a healthy way, and I don't look at it as a bad thing. So,
well, if you're going to be addicted to something, right. I mean, this is,
Yeah, and it should be noted, like, again, not to speak ill of the dead, but my dad didn't have the best diet or diet culture or sort of education when it came to fitness or nutrition, so he just consumed a bunch of stuff.
Well, I think the information wasn't as readily available then either. I think there's more emphasis on it now.
Right.
Yeah.
But this, I'll get into that later, but that sort of is what fuels me today. So those are the abstract how and why. How is probably we can say we accidentally fell into it just by circumstance. The why is, and anybody that says that there is no sense of vanity when it comes to fitness, you are a fucking liar. There is a sense of vanity. You want to look good, okay? Primarily for me, now that I have a daughter, I want to be able to live as long as possible and as healthy as possible and to set the best example for my child. But I also don't want to look like a fat piece of shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that the primary reason is always going to be your health. That is the primary reason. And for you especially, I think for a lot of people, it's also your mental health. For you, it's something you need the routine.
Have to do it.
You are totally thrown off if you don't if you miss a workout. It's just as important to you as anything else that you do every day.
I want to make it clear that I don't have any sort of body dysmorphia issues here. It's more that if I don't do it, maybe this is a sense of like a psychological, I don't know, bad thing. I don't know. But it's, for me, if I don't do it, you're right. Like, I stress out about that all day.
Yeah, it gives you anxiety. Yeah. It's part of your taking care of yourself and your mental health. Like, you need to do it. But I think as long as that, I mean, that's taking it even further than I think for most people, it's not a bad thing, but that for you, it happens to be extra important in terms of your mental health. But I think just for anyone who's involved in fitness and has it as a priority, the primary reason should be to take care of yourself and to be able to live a healthy life. And the secondary benefit is you probably will look better when you're working out regularly and eating well. But I fear for that to become the emphasis.
It's not. So like for me, you're right. Like the whole looking good thing is completely secondary. Like that's literally how I look at it. I don't look at it as like there has never been a moment where I'm like, I need to shed this stomach weight so I can get a six pack. Never have I ever had, well, everyone has abs, but never have I ever seen visible abs before or really have a desire to do it. It's not about putting on a shit ton of muscle, being Robert Frank and being jacked and tan. That's not what this is about. For me, those are added benefits if they happen. The immediate thing and the initial thing is to make sure that I am healthy enough to live. That's it. It's just healthy enough to live and healthy enough to be able to live for as long as possible with as little complications as possible, not to clog up the healthcare system more than it already is. And we live in America, so that's an issue. And not to set a bad example for my child. That's basically why I do this. I don't know for you if there's any real difference. Oh, and I'm addicted.
Yeah, minor side note. I think that most of that is true for me too. But I think one difference in how we approach it, even though we generally have the same feeling about it, we're pretty much in agreement about that it's important and it should be something that's a part of our lives. I think you've been way more consistent than I have. Over the years, I get into, I have, what I'm looking for, like,
routines?
No, like I get into like
funks?
Yes, I do get into funks when I get off track, but then I get really hyped up about a specific program that comes out, or like I decide to do something with another person, a friend or whatever, and we dive in like full throttle. Like I'll do the meal plan to a T, for a month or whatever, 3-week program, whatever it is. And I'll work out every day and I'm like on the ball. And then I'll go like 3 months where I like do like one yoga session. Yeah. I've been all over the map. And I think part of that has to do with how many things have changed in our life over the last few years. Obviously having a baby is a whole nother thing that you didn't experience the physical changes that came along with that. But so that's like a whole nother part of some of the challenge has been for me. But even without that, I feel like you have, and maybe it's because you are addicted.
I'm 100% addicted.
Yeah, you've just been way more consistent. And so for that reason, I feel like you have a different standard. I think there are some people who think, and I think most health professionals recommend, if you work out 3 times a week, half hour a day, and you eat a well-balanced diet, everything in moderation, basic good nutrition, like you're good. Like that's enough to keep you healthy for the most part. It doesn't mean you'll be the picture of health, but that's a healthy lifestyle. And I think you've taken it to a new level. So when you say like your primary goal is just to be healthy and not end up with any of the disorders or diseases or anything that comes along with obesity, I mean, I think it's beyond that. There's something else going on for you because you work out, you wake up at 4 a.m., 3:45 that alarm goes off, and I hate you in the morning, whatever it is. I hate that thing. I think fitness is important. I enjoy doing it. It's something I definitely want to instill as a value in our child, but I am not getting up at 4 a.m.
I get it. So for me, it's a little, it goes into a little bit more of a detail for me because of, the ripple effects of what has happened in my life. And I'm not going to get like too deep into the minutia for it, but like all right. So first of all, during this time, we are currently in the middle of a pandemic. Like a bunch of gyms are closed and stuff. So if you are not able to get your way to a gym, if you do, which chances are you're not because gyms are closed, and notoriously gyms are disgusting places anyway, germ wise. But if you find yourself unable to go to a gym and you don't have any, equipment at home and you've sort of lost the motivation, these are strange times. And I don't have, any angst, or I don't blame anybody right now for not having the motivation to wake up and or work out any time of the day. For me, though, this has to get done. This has to get done on a daily basis. Yes, you're right that if you work out maybe 3 to 5 times a week, you can be healthy. And there are no, dangers. There are no risks of detriment, or, you're not in any higher of a risk of heart disease or whatever if you work out 5 times compared to 7. But for me, it's all about, and this is a personality trait, I have to be better every day. I have to be better today than I was yesterday. And if I'm not constantly trying to be better, then I'm not doing something right. And for me, I have to always dangle the carrot in front of me to remind myself that how I am right now, what I'm doing right now, is not good enough. And a lot of people think that that's a bad thing. I use that as motivation. For me, that's my push to say, okay, I did 25 push-ups today, tomorrow do 26. So tomorrow, 25 is not good enough. 26 is good enough. And just constantly improving, constantly being better, constantly trying to, grab the carrot. Like, my whole mentality about how I live is Sisyphus. Like, I constantly push the boulder up the hill, and I'll never get it to the top, and it'll always roll down to the bottom, and you get up and you do it again. You just get up and do it again. That is why every day I wake up at 4 a.m. because no one likes waking up at 4 a.m. No one likes waking up early. But I have to tell myself every day, don't be a pussy, wake up and work out and get it done. And in 10-15 minutes into that workout, I say, fuck yeah, I am doing it. I feel great. And after that, it's done. It's done, out of the way, off my plate for the day. I'm good to go.
Yeah, I see all that. I know that that's how you feel. And I think that I also think you thrive on the routine. But part of one of the concerns I have, if we want kind of, we kind of already transitioned into what it means for us as parents, but I do fear of, that sort of mentality of never being good enough translating to her as, because we talked about how there's a fine line between doing it for your own health and for your own internal reasons, but then having that translate into what you look like. And we touched on beauty standards in the social media episode. And I do worry about that. I worry about her feeling pressure to, stick to a certain fitness or nutrition regimen, and then feeling like if she gets off track, like I do all the time, that translates into not being good enough.
It's not so much that I don't think I'm good enough if I put on weight. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just that I look at it as a weakness, that you're falling off. This applies to me. I don't project this onto other people. Like, if other people fall off their diet or fall off their workout routine, I'm telling you, I couldn't give 2 fucks. I don't care. I don't care about anybody else's routine. I'll get to that in a bit, though. But, like, if you fall off, then you fall off. Like, everybody falls off. Like, there have been times. I am not 100% strict on my diet all the time. I'm not.
You're pretty close.
I'm close. But,
pretty close.
I do have, stretches, not, long stretches, but I have stretches where I'm like, oh, pizza. Okay, let's have pizza. Or like during Christmas time when we're like, oh, we have all these leftovers for a week.
The holidays are different. But I'm saying, like, even when we have pizza, you're like, make sure it's whole wheat dough, and make sure there's some veggies on it. Yes. And we're going to have a salad on the side.
Yes.
I agree. I mean, that's a great way to balance your diet. That's moderation, I guess. But like, I feel like there are times where, for me, moderation is also like, especially now during this quarantine, I'm going to make brownies and I'm going to have one with her, for dessert.
That's cool. And I don't care.
Yeah. Like, it's
I don't care.
I just think your definition of moderation is still more strict than most. Or maybe I don't represent the majority, but I think that I do, in that, there are going to also nights where I will eat an entire pint of Ben and Jerry's and watch The Bachelor, because for me, that's a mental health break. That's what you do when you work out at 4 a.m. and you lift weights. I get a similar, I think, break or release or whatever it is. It's like a break from reality, a break from thinking. It's and I get that too from exercise, from yoga, whatever. But there are some times when I need to eat Ben and Jerry's and watch The Bachelor, and that's my mental reset.
But again,
but you would never do that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I would never watch The Bachelor.
Okay,
I don't
you
care.
would also not eat the ice cream.
No, I don't care. No, because for me, it bleeds over to every other thing I do in my life. So this is why I have to wake up at 4 a.m. and have this be the first thing I do in the morning, because come 7 p.m. when our child is down and we have nothing going on, the dishes are done, the kitchen is clean, that's our downtime. I don't feel like doing anything. As soon as I hit the couch, I'm good. I tell this to people when I describe why I wake up that early. It's what's easier to you, right? What's just sounds easier to you? Waking up at 4 a.m. or it doesn't even have to be 4 a.m. Just an hour before you normally get ready. Right? So you have a half hour to work out, half hour to shower and stuff. And if you already shower within that's part of your routine in the morning, wake up a half hour earlier, just whatever it takes. Wake up X amount of minutes earlier in the day, or wake up at your normal time, go through your normal routine, go through your normal work day, experience that mundane bullshit, come home, get everything done, eat dinner, put your child away, or get your work done, or whatever you have to do, and then work out. To me, the former just sounds so much easier. Wake up, work out, get it done. Than having to go through all that and finding the motivation at the end of the day to work out. To me, that just doesn't make sense.
Well, I think for most people who can get into the morning routine, I think that's part of it. Is at first it's really, really hard, and then eventually I think people get used to it, and it becomes similar to how you see it. That it's something that you just do because you know when you get it out of the way, you're going to feel so much better, and it sets you up to have a successful day. But I think. So I've done both. In the past, I used to always work out in the evenings because I was used to that, because that's when my dance classes were, and that's when my group fitness classes were, when we would start going to the gym. But it was totally different before we had a child, because I could. What was stopping me from stopping at the gym on the way home from work and going to a class at 6 o'clock in the evening and then coming home and eating dinner and going to bed? It wasn't a big deal. And I would look forward to it. And even when we first started doing the at-home fitness, I would usually, because I just didn't want to get up in the morning, and I would just do it when I got home, but I had nothing stopping me from that. Now I completely see the value, because I wouldn't be able to even have the option until after 7 o'clock when she goes to bed. And at that point, you're right, I'm done. I'm toast, except for the nights that I have one night a week where I go to a dance class that starts at 8 o'clock. But that's not, Otherwise, I there have been times where I've tried to do the morning workout. So for me, I don't have to get up at 4. I have to get up at 5 to make sure I can work out and start getting myself ready and everything before she wakes up and we have to get her ready for daycare. And I did it for a couple of months pretty consistently. And then I just totally burnt out. And even though I had gotten into the routine and I did enjoy how I felt, I just burnt out. I was just too tired.
Right. I'm talking normal circumstances here. So when you first have a child, that's not a normal circumstance.
Well, no, but I'm saying when I did the morning workouts, I did that last fall. Mm-hmm. And I did it for a couple months. So she wasn't she was a year and a half. I wasn't up with her. And she didn't sleep through the night entirely until almost a year. So I was still getting up 2 or 3 times a night for 10 months. So, I don't even count that. That is a black hole. That whole 10, 11, 12 months after she was first born, I did not hold myself to any sort of standard or expectation when it came to that kind of stuff. I got a pass.
No, I
total pass.
I understand, but for me, it's again.
Since I've been sleeping normally.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Into the other things of my life though, if I'm not doing this I'm not successful in any other thing, right? So working out and having this discipline, and first of all, it helps you mentally. Like, I know I joke about being addictive to it, and like maybe there's a level of body dysmorphia in there. I don't know, but like,
no, it's endorphins.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
But I'm saying the discipline carries over to other things. So it's like the discipline of wanting to be a good person. It's the discipline of wanting to have these other things that are incorporated with fitness, and the things that we've already talked about 2 episodes into this, into our parenthood and into our marriage. Like, it's the discipline from derivative of working out that spills over into other things that I don't know that I would have those sort of values if I didn't work out. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, so maybe that's the difference of what I was saying before about my fear of it translating into her feeling like she's not worthy if she doesn't maintain a certain fitness regimen or nutrition or whatever. Maybe it's more of that. It's not that you don't feel worthwhile because of how you look or anything. It's just like
I could always be better.
Well, that, and you're honoring the commitment that you've made to yourself, and you're following through with the commitment.
It's always being better. That is the name of the game in everything I do. Be better than you are. And like, it sounds negative to say you are not good enough, but that is just, it's not a scolding of myself. You're worthless or anything. That's not how I feel. It's just, you can always be better. And once you settle and say, I'm good, that's when things are like, you just plateau. And not just in your weight, just in everything you do. You don't excel.
Well, I think you can do both. I think you can have a sense of self-acceptance. You can know you are
I do accept
worthy,
myself.
You are valuable as you are, but there is always room for improvement. You can always do, right. So I just think it's important to not focus solely on the you can be better, you can be better, you can be better, but also acknowledge you are worthwhile just the way you are, especially if you know, with her, like when we're talking about, because inevitably the line is going to blur to your physical appearance and all of that when it comes to fitness and nutrition, that you are perfectly worthy the way that you are.
Yes,
just like
yes.
My worth didn't
being,
change. Like,
right.
If I go 3 months without working out and I'm eating Ben and Jerry's and every Monday night and watching The Bachelor,
your intrinsic value has not
I'm
shifted.
Still worth, right. It doesn't matter if I gain 20 pounds. I am still just
You're a good person.
Right. But I'm saying, like, I feel like it would break your heart if during a time like that, I said to you, I'm not good enough. I need to be better.
Of course.
But it doesn't mean there's not truth to that. Like, it's probably not good for my health in the long term to stay in a funk like that. And that's why for me, I never stay in that that's why they're funks.
So I would say to you delicately, you are good enough, but you can always do better. Like, I'm not asking you right now. At that time, in a moment of weakness, if I said to you, are you satisfied with how you are right now? And if you said no, I say, okay, then that means there's something to improve in. That has nothing to do with you being a shitty or a worthless person. It's just, there's no shame in saying I could be better in a certain thing.
Right. And I think for me, you don't ever have to really say that. I feel like I do it to myself. But I would
never say that to you. But you would never bring this to my attention.
I know, but I'm saying I get in funks like that, and then for whatever reason, no reason at all, I don't know what happens. It's like every now and then, like a light bulb just comes on, and I'm like, okay, you need to
of course,
you need to cut the shit and get back.
But I don't think
being
that's
healthy. But it's not ever even triggered by how I look. I don't weigh myself that often either.
That's how you feel,
right? It's like I just feel sluggish. I don't have a lot of energy. I am just nervous for my health. Like, I get anxious when it's time to go to the doctor. Like, I get, like, when it's coming up to my annual physical, and I'm like, so for me, not to say that I mean, to be totally honest, you can't disregard the fact that I feel better when I look better. And when I put on a pair of jeans that haven't fit me in 6 months, it's fucking great. Right.
And you feel better when you work out. It's like you said about the endorphins. Like, look, again, anybody listening to this that does a limited amount of exercise throughout the day, that's totally fine. I'm not advocating for anybody to have the sort of regimen that I follow. Like, that is not necessary. Do what works for you. However, and this is like calling back to not caring, but kind of caring about other people. When people say to me, and this is why I warned everybody that people are going to think I'm an asshole. When people say to me, I just don't have time. Fuck you, because you have time. I'm waking up at 4 a.m. to work out. Does that mean you have to wake up at 4 a.m.? No. But don't tell me you do not have a half hour in your day to go for a walk, go for a jog, do some jumping jacks, do some push-ups. Any time throughout the day. Do not tell me you don't have a half hour. You do. You 100% do. So anytime someone says to me, I'm just not into working out, I'm going to say, that's fine, man. That's totally fine if that's not your thing. I completely get it. I don't agree with it, but I get it. Like, there are more often than not, I never want to work out. I never want to wake up at 4 a.m. Only fucking crazy people do it. But when I do it, I'm glad I did it. If working out in general any time of the day just isn't for you, that's fine. I don't care. But when you tell me I don't have time, now we have a problem. Because if that is your only excuse, you are wrong. You have time.
Right. It's about changing your routine or making time. You can carve out the time. But I think sometimes when people say I don't have time, and this goes for anything, not just for fitness, I don't have time can sometimes translate to it's not a priority. Or
perfectly fine.
Or things like for me, like if it was a night where I was eating my Ben and Jerry's and watching The Bachelor and I was like, oh, I didn't have time to work out today.
You're wrong.
You'd be
you had time.
Or I just chose to spend that time doing something else that for me, maybe it just so happens that day I needed to just zone out and watch some crappy TV.
So because that falls into the first thing I said. Like, it's just not for me.
I wouldn't say it's not for me because I am someone who enjoys fitness. And
I'm saying that excuse being like, it just wasn't in my cards for that day.
Sure, but I'm saying sometimes people just say I don't have time, but really they mean something a little bit more.
Sure.
Like
I am not someone that ascribes to this healthy at every size.
The body positivity thing?
I am not.
I know. Oh, here's where we get.
I am not part of that. Like, again, if you are slightly overweight, you can be healthy. If you are obese or morbidly obese, you are not healthy. Period. Medically, you are not healthy. In fact, yesterday we were having this conversation to sort of prep up for this podcast. I said to you, the second leading cause of death is obesity in the United States, the first being cancer. That's wrong. The first leading cause of death is heart disease brought on by obesity.
That's what I said. I was surprised when you said cancer was higher than obesity. I thought obesity was number one in America.
Respiratory issues, I think, are third or fourth on the list. That has to do with
because obesity. Oh, so you're saying specifically heart disease related to obesity is number one. Yeah, well, and then there's a bunch of others that fall under the category of like diabetes and stuff like that. All are related to obesity as well. Preventable deaths as a matter of obesity. So this is where I get on my high horse. People have the mentality of, I got to take care of my car. It is so important to me. I'm going to clean it. I'm going to make sure it has an oil change. I'm going to make sure it has gas. I'm going to make sure it has everything to do when this thing is a finite thing. It is a temporary thing. You will get another car. Inevitably, you will have another vehicle to drive yourself to work or whatever. Your house. I need to maintain my house. I need to make sure everything's up to date. I need to make sure it's clean. I need to make sure this is all assuming a lot. I just have to say
I'm saying a lot of people have this mentality.
Who have those resources and the privilege to know that they're always going to be able to get a new car.
I'm not saying always going to be able to get a new car.
Or people who have a house in the first place.
You do not have your first car is never your same car forever.
Sure. We're just talking from our like
these
middle to upper middle class like perspective of like, oh, I can just get a new car.
Okay.
Like a lot of people don't live in that reality.
Fine, but like, it's just an example. Like people that do. Or like, I'm not saying you can go out and get a new house, but like having a house, it's important to maintain it.
Sure.
It's important that you clean it. It's important that if your water heater busts, you get a new water heater. Like you have to have maintenance in your house. It's just
I get
part
the
of
analogy you're
house.
going. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
These things are replaceable. These things are objects. Your body is forever. You get one. And to not have the same sort of impulse and the same sort of sense of care to your body as you do things is a problem. The way you feed your body is very important. The way you maintain your body is very important. And if you keep stuffing your body full of shit all the time, eventually you're going to become morbidly obese without any exercise. Eventually you're going to become morbidly obese. Eventually, and this is just science, you will be more susceptible to things like heart disease, like diabetes, things that are preventable, deadly things. You're going to be more exposed to those things, and your time on earth is going to be finite just because you like the taste of something.
Okay, and here's where I jump in with all the nuance and complexities that I feel like you ignore. I understand your basic argument about that, and that is, again, related to anyone who has the ability and the knowledge, but they're just choosing not to.
That's suicide.
Okay, but I just have to say that when you're talking about statistics in the US and the number of people who die from these things, that's not just people like us. That's people who their kids depend on school lunches, and the school lunches are not nutritious.
I get it.
And kids who are now sitting in front of devices most of the time and don't have outdoor spaces like we had to go and run around and play.
These are adults that I'm talking about.
Okay, fine, but it starts in childhood.
Sure.
Even so, there are adults who live in poverty and don't have access to fresh produce, and they live in a food desert.
All right, so what are they eating?
Junk off the shelves that stays good in their pantry for months because they can't afford or they don't have. Maybe
order a salad.
Okay, fair enough. I know that there's options, but then there's also the educational component. Some people don't have health care. They don't have doctors who are advising them about the dangers of obesity and these other things. There's just a lot of other factors. I'm saying I think it's understandable and reasonable when you talk about your perspective in the context of people who are like us. But when you're talking about larger statistics that include everyone in America, there are people who live in many different circumstances that don't have the same resources and privileges as we do, or to be able to afford a gym membership or have space to work out in their house or have equipment or whatever it is. You can disagree with me if you want. I'm just saying, I think you put way too much of a broad brush and you make way too many assumptions about people.
I am willing to forego the whole nutrition aspect that, the parameters you laid out. So if low-income families can't afford healthy food, so they're, it's easier or cheaper for them to buy processed, junk, and that's within their budget, fine. There is not a human being in America. I'm willing to bet this. There is not a human being, adult, non-mentally impaired human being that doesn't know exercise is good for them.
Sure, but there are also people who are working 4 jobs to support their kids, and they literally don't have time.
Sure. Okay, but at that point, okay, so it is impossible to not know that, when you do put on weight, that there isn't an issue, right? So if you're becoming, just like putting on weight, fine, that might not be an issue, as I said. Sorry, I take that back. When you are on the brink of obesity, you need to know that what you are eating is making you this way. I don't think that there isn't a causation there, that people are blind to the cause and effect.
I'm not saying people are blind. I'm just saying I just think there are times, this goes back to what you're saying about your health should be a priority. Period.
Yes.
But I think for some people, and I don't know, I haven't had this experience either. I don't think that there
are people that are eating McDonald's on an everyday basis without working out, gaining weight, becoming morbidly obese, and thinking to themselves, how the fuck did this happen?
Yeah, but they know. No, but that comes back to education. I think to some extent, sure, but I think even you said growing up, your dad used to say, a hamburger's a hamburger. If it comes from McDonald's, it's hamburger. It's meat. It's protein. What's so bad about it?
I do not think that fast food makes you fat is an unknown reality.
Right, and that's what I was saying before.
I'm talking today.
Sure, it's more prevalent now. I said that earlier than it was when we were growing up, and I think people are generally more educated about the importance of nutrition and what is nutritious and what's not. But I'm saying for people who live in a world where they are just trying to get by, that's not they're just going to think about eating, getting food. They're just going to...
But you're not going to get by because you're going to die.
I understand, and I get it. And I think that's... Yeah, I know it's a problem. And there are organizations who are trying to improve access to fresh food and improve education when it comes to nutrition and improve school lunch programs and all of those types of things.
The reason why I'm so passionate about it, and it hits home, because this is literally what killed my dad. So this lack of, I don't want to say understanding, because towards the end of his life, he knew what he was eating was garbage. But the lack of, discipline and the lack of it just turns out to be a food addiction. That's what it is. We're dealing with food addictions that are similar to that of like the rush you get for crack or the rush you get with heroin. Like the sugar addictions are legitimate, and so much so that it's so prevalent and so widespread throughout America that people don't even realize, or even North America, people don't even realize that they have it. People don't even realize that they are addicted to sugar. So much so, like, to anybody listening if you don't think sugar addiction's a thing, look on the back of the labels of the things you eat.
Yeah, try to find something that doesn't have sugar in it.
Does not have sugar, and see how you feel for a week. Don't eat that stuff.
No, but your options are going to be super limited because almost everything has sugar in it.
It's going to be real food.
Right.
That's what it's going to come down, that you're going to eat real food, something that came from the ground or something that was alive. That is what you're going to consume. Right. And I'm not talking like eating bacon every day. Sure, you can if you like it. I'm just saying like real food. It's eating bacon every day is probably better than eating fried chicken every day. Probably not. Maybe
or macaroni
not.
and cheese.
I don't know. But my point is that I don't want to fall into that. I am predisposed to shitty genetics to the point where like if I have bad food for like a month, I'm putting on substantial weight. And I feel like because of the way I do believe that your impulses towards foods and these sort of food addictions do get passed down. I am more prone to these addictions than I would say you are.
Well, I think that goes right back to the conversation we were having about moderation and how my definition of moderation is different than yours. You're always concerned about the slippery slope.
It has
slippery slope.
Yes. I can't. So I've recognized my food addiction that if there is a bowl of Cheetos in front of me, I can't have two.
Crunchy or puffy?
For me, crunchy.
Me too.
Okay. I can't have just two. Like, I'll have two and then the bowl's gone.
Right.
I can't have a couple of Doritos. I can't have 3 pretzel sticks without wanting to go back and finish the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I can't have 3 veggie sticks, like the veggie straws, without wanting to eat the entire bag.
That kind of processed food is designed to do that.
I understand. But I recognize my addiction. So like literally, like someone recovering from alcoholism or any type of drug addiction, if they have one drink, it's not going to stop at one drink.
Why do you think you're so able to be disciplined when it comes to your fitness routine, but you can't employ that same discipline when it comes to eating?
I do.
No, but like it's all or nothing for you with the food. Like you don't have the discipline to say, all right, I'm going to treat myself to one pretzel or whatever. That sounds silly to say. It's not even a treat. I love pretzels.
Yeah, it's more like a serving.
Whatever.
Like I'll have a serving of pretzels.
But like, but there are times where you say you're not going to even touch it. Like when we were eating the brownies or like whatever, when it comes to ice cream, like, so, and you usually say it's because you're afraid of you not being able to stop at one. Right. So why do you think it's so much more difficult for you to have discipline when it comes to that than
because
it is?
Discipline isn't as strong, I feel, as an addiction. Like you'll give into your addictions.
So you're addicted to working out. So it's less, it takes you less discipline because you are already.
I love it.
Okay. So it's like the reverse thing.
Yeah. So
food.
like
that
for me,
sense.
like with food, it's more impulsive.
Right.
For my addiction to working out, it's more active.
Right.
I have to like force myself to do it. But like, and again, if people out there are like, oh, I'm able to have a bowl of ice cream, more power to you. Like more power to, I can't. And so like, if I see someone or a buddy of mine's like, yo, I'm chowing down on ice cream and I know that he's working out on the reg and I know he's in good shape, I don't care. Like, that's fine. That's great that individual can rather do that. I can't. I am not that person because of my food addiction. And I think my food addiction, recognizing that, is a little bit more, I don't want to say severe, but it's stronger than the average person, maybe. I just can only speak for me. I can't, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal and I'm not even trying to knock myself off anything. I'm just saying for me, I know my body, I know my impulses. And for that, I can't indulge in these things as often as someone else necessarily can. And how, like, tying this all into each other as parents, my fear is that our daughter will have these same addictions. Like,
yeah, but it could go the other way. I'm afraid of her being addicted to like there's also I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head.
Anorexia?
No. Obviously, there's eating disorders, but I mean, there's an like unhealthy addiction to clean eating and fitness. There are people who take
I probably have it.
but you're still in good health, so I don't think that's necessarily true. I wish I should have looked it up. But
Body
that is
dysmorphia?
No. But there's a specific term for it when you are so addicted that, because it can also go the other way. Like it can impact your mental health where that's all you think about and you don't let yourself enjoy things in moderation, and you're like,
yeah, okay, I'm not there.
No, but I worry about that.
If I do have a slice of pizza, I'm not like, I have to run.
I do worry about that. And also growing up in the dancing world, I didn't, it wasn't uncommon eating disorders in that
right
environment. And so, yeah, I do. I just want to make sure that we are always putting the emphasis on, we are just, first of all, doing physical things. I will never
say to my child, you need to work out.
Right. I want to just have it be a part of our life, just something that you do. You just do. Like, and that's how I
encourage her to do it.
Sure. And we're trying to set by example too. We try to like let her see us exercising, and we do things together. We go for walks together. We play outside, whatever it is.
Like our buddy got her the weight.
Yeah, little weight rattles.
Yeah, like I will encourage
dumbbell
her
rattles
to work out, but I'm not going to say you look a little X.
Right. I don't want it to have anything to do with her appearance.
No. I'm going to it's more like leading by example. Like, again, I don't expect her to wake up at the early hours of the morning and do it. If that's what works for her, I'll certainly be happy to work out with her. If she wants to come to the gym with me when the gym's open back up, I'll be more than happy to do that. But I'm not going to say to her, hey, you look a little flabby, maybe you should work out. Or those jeans don't look, I would never say that. What I would say is that, like, how many push-ups were you able to do today? This many? Awesome. Like, that's so good. Like, keep going. Keep trying to reach for more. Like, imagine how you're going to feel when you can do double that.
Right.
Like, just encourage
this goes back,
her.
At the risk of opening a can of worms almost an hour into this episode, this goes back to the body positivity thing. And I don't think the two things are exclusive. I think you can have body positivity and be accepting and, confident about however it is that you look.
You're
while
not,
also,
yes.
And still, and just live a healthy, like, I think,
okay.
You never know. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm saying, like, you can't be, if you're happy to be obese, fine. If you're happy to be anorexic,
well, I think you should be confident. Well, that's different. That's a disease. Well,
so is obesity.
Sure,
like I'm saying, these are two sides of the extreme. If you're
but an eating disorder is something that a mental illness that needs professional intervention.
And I think obesity is part of an addiction, which is a mental illness.
Yeah, I suppose there's similarities.
You have these two extremes. If you're comfortable in those, I'm not going to tell you should be anything else. Don't then say you're healthy. You're not. Like, that is what they say. They say, I'm healthy at any size.
I don't think that's... Okay, I've interpreted it differently. I feel like it's more of a...
There's two extremes here. Okay. So there's the body positivity movement that happened as a result, actually, of soldiers that have lost their limbs. Okay. And they're saying, like, I'm proud of this. Like, I don't care what I look like. I'm proud of these battle wounds. Like, they make me better.
Yep.
And the fat acceptance community sort of latched onto that and said, oh, I don't owe anybody thinness. I don't have to be thin to be happy. My doctor's just being fat phobic when I walk into the doctor's office and say, you're obese, you need to lose weight. He's being fat phobic. I'm fine. I'm healthy.
Yeah, I think that's extreme. I view it as your weight, your appearance does not define your worth as a person, and you should feel comfortable and confident no matter what you look like.
You're right.
But
Don't say you're healthy.
That doesn't negate the importance of maintaining your health. Yes. And I think that those two things are not exclusive of one another. I think you can totally have both, and I don't think you should assume that someone who's overweight isn't working on their health, because you don't even know.
I don't. I'm just saying, those that say that are obese,
I've never heard anyone say that. Was that on social media?
It's a small but loud.
That's what movement. I mean. That's what you always hear on social media is the vocal minority.
Sure. But I'm just saying, like, these people exist that say.
But it's not, that doesn't represent the majority of people.
You cannot be obese and healthy. There is no such thing as an 80-year-old, 600-pound person. Find me them. They don't exist.
Yeah.
They don't exist. Like, they just don't. And there's no such thing as an 80-year-old, 89-pound person. They don't exist unless you're, like, frail and dying. But like I'm saying, like, live the life of anorexia. They don't exist.
Right.
Like they just don't. And there's a reason why these people die an early grave. And I don't want that. Like, I don't want to see people die unnecessarily, whether it is because they don't want, they struggle with the way they look due to anorexia, or as a result become anorexic, or because they feed into their food addictions. To me, your life is worth more than that.
Right. Well, and obesity can be a result of an eating disorder, just like anorexia is a result of it. Just however that manifests with that person.
It's all mental. Like, at the end of the day, it's all mental. And I'm not saying, again, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying you have to be a certain amount of weight, a certain look to be, good enough. None of that matters. I don't care about what anybody looks like. Fuck looks. It's not about aesthetics. What matters is your health. What matters is about taking care of yourself so you can live longer. If that means you're doing the bare minimum, quote unquote, in a medical sense, and you're exercising 3 times a week and you're eating largely balanced meals for like Monday through Friday, and on Saturdays you binge, go for it. Like, that's fine. Like, all of that is fine. Just
right,
as
but
long
someone
as you're
who does
healthy.
that might still be a little bit overweight.
That's fine.
But yeah.
Just as long as you're healthy, as long as you're not putting yourself at any unnecessary risks. If you find yourself that you're gaining weight and becoming more like pre-diabetic, or you're becoming at risk of heart disease, then you need to evaluate your situation and you should adjust according to. But in the meantime, if you're like happy with your situation and you're just chilling out and you're doing some sort of exercise daily or every other day or whatever it is, fine. You don't have to have, and this is, again, tying it back to my being parents, I'll tell the same thing to our kid. You don't have to do this as often as I do. You don't have to be as strict as I do. In fact, as a child, you shouldn't be. As a child, you could probably get away with eating McDonald's here and there. I can't. I can't. And that's what I plan on telling my child. But like, to tie this all in a bow, that's what matters to me. Like, again, I don't care what anybody else does. I don't care. I care about what I do. But when people start coming at me and saying I don't have time, or you're being fat phobic, now we have a problem. Now it's a me versus you kind of thing.
I guess I just don't. I've never heard you distinguish it the way that you just did now. Any other time we've talked about the body positivity movement or anything like that, I've never heard you make that distinction.
Yeah. They say, like, go research Tess Holliday, fucking scum of the earth. I'm telling you. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate as a result of this.
I don't even know who that is.
Just scum of the earth. So
I know Lizzo is big in the body positivity
movement. Like, I don't owe you thinness. I'm healthy,
but
being fat. No, you're not.
Yeah, I get. That's where I draw the line. Is that you shouldn't be promoting it as a healthy lifestyle. You can promote it as being.
I'm confident in the way
I look as a woman. It's totally okay to look this way. Totally. It is 100%. It is more than okay. You should flaunt what you have and be confident. Wear whatever you want, whatever makes you feel good. Like, you should not feel shamed at all.
Wear whatever you want, but don't tell me you're healthy.
Right. You shouldn't be promoting that as a healthy lifestyle.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Like, just like how I wouldn't promote someone who smokes cigarettes as being like someone that's adhering to a healthy lifestyle. Right. You're not.
I shouldn't even say healthy lifestyle, because you also don't know. You don't know what that person's lifestyle is like. You're making assumptions based on the fact that they're overweight. I'm saying smoking cigarettes
objectively is not good for you.
But if they're right, but I'm talking about with food and working out. If they're openly saying, I eat shit, I choose to eat fast food all the time, and I don't pay attention to my diet, and I don't exercise, and it's okay.
It's not okay.
Right. That's different. But like, if they're not openly saying that and they're just overweight, and so you're assuming that they don't exercise and they don't.
That's not a good thing to assume that.
Okay. I agree.
They could be they could have been 500 pounds and
you don't know what they're,
and they could have lost 200.
And you don't even know too. They could have some sort of underlying condition. There's a lot of conditions that make it really hard to lose weight, no matter how hard you try.
Absolutely. And like, I don't judge people based on the way they look. I judge people based on what they say.
Right.
And if they say something like, oh, I've been smoking for 20 years, my lungs are fine. No, they're not. You're lying. Right. You're wrong. You're just wrong. And if you say, I eat fast food every day, I'm 500 pounds, I'm in tip-top perfect health, you're wrong. Yeah. You're just wrong. Like, it's okay to take an L. It's okay to say, say you have a weakness.
Own those choices.
Just own it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
If you say, I'm fine being fat, I'm fine being overweight, I like the way I look, I'd say, cool, like, that's awesome. Like, awesome for you to have that sense of confidence. We have no disagreement. We have no, angst against each other. That's perfect. Great.
Right. But I agree. It crosses the line into being dangerous when you're promoting that as being healthy.
Right. It's just not healthy.
But it's also dangerous to promote unrealistic beauty standards and say that that's the only thing that's acceptable.
I agree.
Yeah.
I completely agree. They're both.
There has to be a balance there.
Right. Just like I wouldn't say, oh, promoting cigarette smoking it's like the 4th or 5th leading cause of death. That's healthy.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not. Like, it's just not healthy. Just like eating a bunch of shit all the time. That's what you want to do. It's fine. Just like if you want to smoke cigarettes, totally fine. Doesn't bother me. I mean, there is a sort of like secondhand effect to that could be detrimental to me. But if you want to do that in the privacy of your own home and do whatever you got to do, go for it. But don't tell me it's healthy.
Right.
It's not.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not. Mm-hmm. And that is the type of knowledge and the type of, awareness that I want to incorporate to our child. I want to say, like, look, you don't have to look a certain way. Mm-hmm. You don't have to hit a certain standard. If you want to work towards that standard, like if, for lack of a better way to put it, if she wanted to enter a bodybuilding competition.
Right. It was not, again, it's not about it's not about getting abs or getting to a goal weight or anything like that.
Something for
right.
you.
Well, for me, it would be like entering a competition, like a dance competition, or doing like like I do the obstacle races, like a boulder dash or a Spartan race or something. Like those are fun, like just physical, like something to challenge yourself, but it's not about trying to reach a certain physical appearance.
Right. But bodybuilding competitions do.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't go that far. I'd be a little bit.
I'm saying,
if she ends up like as an adult,
yes,
yeah, that's fine. But I'm saying like younger
as a child, no. But if she wanted to do like children's, I don't know, Spartan race.
Well, they do those. They have some versions of them that are open to the family.
Let's go. Like, let's quote unquote train for it.
Sure.
I'll run with you around the block.
Absolutely. I think that's really fun, and it's a good challenge, and it's
but I'll never say if you do this you'll lose weight.
Right.
I'll say
it's not
this
about
is
that.
Fun.
It's fun, and it's something to challenge yourself.
Yes. Yep. Yes, exactly. And that's why like it's important for me to be for her to be involved in sports. It's important for me to have this sort of it's important for me for her to have this sort of teamwork aspect and to work with other people and to accomplish goals together. So you're accomplishing the goals together and you're doing something that's physically demanding and you're being fit and healthy, quote unquote, as a consequence of that.
Right.
It's not the driving force.
That's what dance was for me.
Like basketball. Like it's impossible to be like huge and play basketball all the time. It's just impossible as a kid, especially. It's just impossible.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I danced 6 days a week. It didn't matter that I went home and ate ice cream and frozen French fries because I was dancing.
My point is that
3 hours a day.
The fitness aspect of that is
secondary.
It's not even on their radar.
Right.
They're not even.
You don't
thinking
even realize
about
you're doing it.
They want to improve in that skill. And they enjoy doing it with other people.
Yeah, those are the best types of activities where you don't even know you're working out. That's why I love dancing because I'm focused on learning the choreography and getting the steps right and whatever. And I don't even know that I'm exercising.
Right.
Well, now I do. That I'm in my 30s.
Right. Now you're aware of
when
it.
I do something, or when they say, okay, time to work on your splits.
Yeah. So whatever you do, like if you do the bare minimum according to the CDC to tell you, I think it's 3. That's how you prevent things like diabetes and heart disease and obesity.
Sure.
Whatever it is, I don't know. Like WHO, I don't know who
American
the fuck's
Heart
in charge.
Association.
Sure.
Maybe.
Like if they're recommending you doing the bare minimum, or you see the bare minimum and you're like, that works for me, do it.
Yeah.
If you want to be a super jacked weightlifter, like our buddy in Boston who has phenomenal genetics, I am so jealous of you. I talked to you today in FaceTime. You know what? If you're listening, you have outstanding genetics, man, and you are the top of the mountain for me. But anyways, if you want to, if you want to lift weights and be jacked as shit and jacked and tan, go for it. Like I don't care. That's great. If you want to do something moderate that does like more of a cardio based thing all the time, and you want to run all the time, like my buddy from college, go for it. I don't care. Like that's great. All of it. Like there is no bad type of fitness thing. Even though like something like CrossFit, I fucking hate CrossFit.
Oh, that's a whole nother episode.
But if you want to do CrossFit, do CrossFit. Like I don't care. Like do what works for you. Just as long as you're doing something. Just do something. That's it. That's all. That's all.
That's the message. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Especially during a pandemic, because that's going to help you fight against viruses.
Yeah, well, I've been bad. I injured myself towards the beginning of the pandemic. It's, that's part of the whole
but you
trying
run
to
around and chase her, so you're exercising.
True, and I'm lifting her all the time, and she's heavy now. Yeah, so I just got over that injury. I finally feel better, and I did my first workout today. I just did some light yoga, and I feel way better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks.
All right, we ran in long today. I hope you enjoyed the banter. I hope no one got offended by it. But in the chance that I won't even say the off chance. In the chance that you did, feel free to contact us. We are on Twitter at She's Napping Pod. And you can email us
at whileshesnapping@gmail.com.
Hit us up. Also, what?
Sorry, I was gonna say next week.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
If you're listening to this for the first time, again, subscribe. Thank you for the download. Please give us 5 stars. Please, please, please. It's the Easter weekend. Okay, Zombie Jesus is coming back. He would want you to give us 5 stars in a review. It's probably in scripture. So what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say next week. So this week was all you. You really wanted to tackle the fitness.
Yes.
Topic. Next week, I think we're going to talk about something that I love talking about, which is expectations versus reality when it came to my pregnancy and our birth story.
Okay.
And we could talk a little bit about the early years.
Sure.
But I just think it'd be really funny to look back and think about what we thought things were going to be like and how things actually happened.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a lot of blood involved, so...
Oh, God.
Until next week. Again, I'm Adam.
I'm Cindy.
Thanks for listening.